Welcome, everybody, to your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger. I'm your host, the Viking Donkey. This is Sports Talk, episode 13. I'm joined by the one and only Mutant Gingy as we're out here defending some blossoms, some flowers in the Fallout world, because, well, that's something you got to do.
Oh yeah, here we are, Gingy in the house.
And, so, what did you see this week going on, week 13 in the NFL?
Undefeated. No more of that. I started off with
not
that.
quite.
I started off with that, and it feels different starting the episode that way, but we'll get to that. Around the NFL, you and I were talking before. Biggest game I think that I watched over the weekend being the Browns and the Titans. The Browns pulling out a win versus a AFC team. Insert
A winning
there.
record for like the first time in a decade, bro. Or it's over a decade, right? First time in
Yeah.
over a decade a winning record. Congratulations, Cleveland. I am actually happy for you. As a Steelers fan, I've been one of the few that says the Browns need to win so this can be a rivalry. Because until they start winning, there's zero chance of this being a rivalry. And I am personally happy to see the Browns winning in a season where it looks like they'll still be worse than the Steelers. And Tennessee, valiant effort on that comeback, but bro, you can't play a first half like that and expect to win.
Yeah, seriously, it was pretty disgusting. We're looking at elsewhere in the AFC, man. What do you think about those Raiders and the Jets? What an ending, right?
Tank for Trevor. No doubt that play is only called by a team that's trying to intentionally lose a football game.
An
There
all-out
is no
blitz.
way that play gets called if the team is trying to win a football game. A cover zero when you have the game won.
An all-out blitz leaving two corners in a one-on-one situation? Really?
Greg Williams, I am telling you, they fired him, but he already knew he was getting fired. I am pretty sure he was told, dude, find a way to lose this game.
Well, he did, and there you go. Another Rams-Cardinals, good game over the weekend. Rams pull that out, and in combination with a Seahawks loss, wow, you could
Did
talk
you
about
see
it.
the Rams on Thursday night?
Ooh,
Bro,
Tell me.
We had this talk off stream, but remember when I said the Rams are the most Jekyll and Hyde defense? Like, they're either going to stop you or they could give up 50 points. Bro, did they show up to stop the Patriots on Thursday? They
Shut
just
down.
were like, nah, you know what? You're going to do nothing and you're going to like the nothing. Like, that... Aaron Donald just lived in Cam Newton's fucking jockstrap the whole game.
yeah, I mean, you're a team that's going to try to run the ball at the strength of the Rams defense. I mean, yeah, it didn't work out.
That Rams team showed up. Highlight for me was Colt McCoy and the G-Men going to Seattle and just shutting Russ down.
Yeah, big time. Wow, that game was like a drag-out marathon. You kept watching it, and you kept waiting for Russell to do something, and he would get pressured, and he would get sacked, and the G-men weren't exactly doing nothing with it either. Let me tell you what, Colt McCoy, you'll call him out there. He was there. He didn't lose the game for them, and at the end of the day, that's actually what ended up winning it for them. So
The penultimate backup, man, he does what he needs to do to keep your team in the football game. And when you're playing a backup quarterback, that is all you can ask for.
he did. The last thing
And
that
Colt is probably the best at it. Maybe not the best, but for how long he's done it and how good he's done it, you got to put him up there as one of the best backups to be around.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. The only other thing I wanted to add before we get to some Steelers talk, you can, of course, if you had anything else you wanted to say, but Kansas City and Denver playing a close division game there, showing that Kansas City is also beatable with certain amount of flaws that you can get to. 16-22 that game. You know, you got to be looking at those top-tier teams moving forward. The Steelers didn't play a great one either, and I can't wait to get to that.
The Kansas City thing, Denver showed you the blueprint. Play pretty solid defense. Don't give up those splash plays that Kansas City's based on. And control the ball, control the clock. I mean, Melvin Gordon was rushing like it was 4 years ago, and he was still a top-tier running back. That was something different. I haven't seen that in a long time. Drew Lock, you're a backup quarterback, kid. I'm sorry. If they had a real starter there, they might win that game. But too many mistakes, not good enough with the football. Just, I'm sorry, Denver. I know you guys love Elway, but you need a GM who can evaluate talent, because this dude's picking of quarterbacks might be the worst in the history of worst. I mean, you got Locke, you had Paxton Lynch before. I mean, you got Peyton Manning when Peyton Manning wasn't even good anymore. I hate to say it, but that's a team that looks like they need to move on. I mean, look at the other teams that have been moving on, and it seems like the teams get a little better with the move on, I think. But how'd you say goodbye to a legend?
Yeah, it's tough. I want to talk some Steelers. Can we talk some Steelers?
Can we get to the Ravens-Steelers games get delayed 30 billion days, and then the Ravens have a breakout of COVID on a football game day, and they still get to play that day? Like, explain to me COVID protocols, please, because I don't get it. How is Dez Bryant in the locker room with his teammates and somehow doesn't expose anybody, but their whole team's exposed for a week and a half, and we can't even track who might be exposed for a week and a half, but we knew right away that the Dez Bryant thing was safe to play? Come again?
As long as Lamar Jackson doesn't miss 2 games in a row. That's really what matters. That's NFL
I guess it's okay because
the
the breakout didn't happen, but if a breakout would have happened after that game, how the hell would the NFL have explained it? Like, the way you delayed the Ravens game the first time for an outbreak on a Monday, and then you have a dude test positive during game day while he's near his whole team in the locker room, and you're like, we're good. Like, okay.
Yeah. That's the NFL in 2020.
You want to get to even worse news? The
There's plenty of that out there.
Have a loss in the column, man. You want to get to the better news? We still control the destiny to the 1 seed.
Indeed. You got to keep winning now, and there's going to be a tough sled ahead. Good competition.
Ooh, yeah,
much better competition than we just lost to. I want to talk about the game.
Hey, I told you, the Washington football team is the best team in the NFC East. Don't you sit on them. Alex Smith is a good quarterback. I wish I had realized they were our next opponent before I precursored our demise like a dick. But, Alex Smith is better at running the West Coast offense than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, it didn't show. There's a few key things that I want to point out. Going throughout the game, there really wasn't even much to focus on. Drop passes, mistakes, no push. Donkey, something
Vinny
I've been
Williams'
hearing from
inability
you all
to
year.
cover a running back.
Yeah, Vinny Williams not to do anything but be able to stop the run. That's it. He's ate injuries on defense, Spillane. Things are starting to loosen up there, Donkey, and it's not. That's where the strength of his team lies. It certainly doesn't lie in that offense. And that's what I want to talk about the most, is the reason why you don't deserve to win that football game. As Mike Tomlin said, didn't deserve to win. My reason for not deserving to win, 4 chances from the yard line, from the 1 yard line, and you get stuffed. Every time.
We just talked about this earlier, and I said this to you. When you have to gain 1 yard, there's 2 ways to do it. There's deception, and there's generating push. The Steelers have proven we can't generate push, at least the way this team is playing right now. And I've talked to you about this before in the past. I think the Steelers are the most predictable offense in the NFL. So there's no deception. If you can't get deception and you can't generate push, you're terrible at 1 yard situations, which when you look at the Steelers, we're really bad at 1 yard situations. This isn't the first time this has showed its head. It's showed its head all year, and we've talked about it before. However, I think there's a way to fix it. I texted you it during the game. We have a guy sitting on our bench who's very, very smart, but I don't want him because he's a literal rocket scientist. That's not why I want him to play. I want him to suit up, and by the way, he hasn't suited up all year. I want him to suit up, and I want him to play because could you imagine running the Wildcat with a quarterback who could actually throw it like Joshua Dobbs? Could you imagine the
draws.
deceptions we could be playing with Josh Dobbs back there at quarterback during 1-yard situations? Could you imagine us doing plays like, I don't know, who's a really good offense who does something similar to this? Oh, he's their starting quarterback now, too. I can't lay my finger on it. Oh, that's right. Taysom Hill and the frickin' New Orleans Saints. And they are excellent at short-yarded situations because they do this. Why don't we take a playbook from them? I mean, they also run a similar West Coast style offense that we like to run now. So if we want to fix a short yardage situation, why instead of beating our head against the board, it's doing the same thing over and over? Why don't we try something new?
Shotgun draws and Wildcat. I love it. I loved it then. I love it now. Let's do it.
Let me take
Call
the
'em up.
map and see if we can find somewhere else to go have fun. There's a free range event over here. We can go herd some sheep. I mean cows. But bro. I hate to say I told you so, but this game was the ultimate I told you so.
I can't. There's
This
still
is a Super Bowl
yes.
Super Bowl caliber defense, but what happens when the plays just don't go your way? Like, was it TJ Watt was like an inch away from a fumble, although we made a penalty on that play, so it wouldn't have mattered. But we were an inch away from a fumble. The touchdown, Cam Sutton is 3 inches away from an interception on the touchdown.
Sometimes it just doesn't break your way. There were
Exactly,
lots
but-
of reasons why it didn't break our way, though. I mean,
I'm just looking at all these things, but what happens when that Super Bowl caliber defense doesn't make the plays and we have to rely on a subpar at best offense? And I mean, I think we're like 20th in the league in passing, but that's not what's scary is. Consider we're 20th in the league in passing when the only team who throws the ball more than us is the frickin' Dallas Cowboys. That's
yeah.
not good. And here is one of my favorite stat lines to talk about how bad an offense is. Okay? And it is your punts per touchdown drive. So it's our points drive. So it compares how many times you punt compared to how many times you score points, right?
Right.
Do you know how many playoff teams, current playoff teams, rank worse than the Steelers, who, by the way, rank 22nd, as in they're 22nd in the league in terms of scoring compared to punts. So
Cool.
they punt a lot more than the average team.
Not surprised. The drive can.
I will give you a
drives
hint.
can't
There
be
is one
sustained.
team. There's one. No, wait. Is there a team? Who is? Yes, there's one team who's in the playoffs right now that's worse than us at it, and it's another team who's led by their defense. By the way, if you want to take a guess at it,
Who are we talking about?
NFC division leading LA Rams
Ooh, yeah.
are the only team that's worse than us at that category, which to me is the most telling stat of an offense because it truly shows: are you better at putting the ball in the end zone, or do you give it away more?
There's
And we give it away more. So.
there's no sustained drives when you're having the drops the last 2 weeks that you've had. How many drops did Deontay have? 3, another 3 or 4, giving him
Yeah,
11 in 2 games.
We
Something-
have
something
seven
absurd? It's
drops
bad.
each of the last 2 games, which is the most any NFL team has had this year. We've had it in back-to-back weeks. And this is another thing about this offense is there a alpha playmaker? Is there a guy that you were like, we have to stop him on this team? I mean, the closest thing I think we have is Chase Claypool, but he's not there yet.
He's not.
I mean, when you look at it, do you have to cover Juju Smith-Schuster? Hell no. Do you have to double cover Deontay Johnson? Hell no. Do you have to double cover Eric Ebron? Hell no. Do you have to make sure you stop James Conner? Hell no. There's not a game breaker on this team. And the way we've had game breakers forever is crazy. I do believe Chase Claypool becomes one. But this current roster, I don't see a game breaker on that offense.
I don't either. They're not there, and that's one of the big reasons why that happened. Donkey, what do you think's the fix for next week?
A healthy defense, but we're not getting that. I mean, we just lost Spillane to the IR. Next man up. I think next man up's going to be probably, is it Ulysses Gilbert just came off the IR, so maybe UG3 gets a chance? I don't know.
How about our pickup from the Jets? Is this going to come to fruition that he might be necessary?
Williamson has to play, but Vince Williams is on the COVID list, so we have to have another one starting with Williamson, right?
Oh, yeah. That's
is it Marcus
right.
Allen or is it UG3? Who's playing the other middle linebacker spot? I mean, right now we have a guy who's been in the system for 3 weeks and a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to see some leadership on that defense. The pass rush has got to be there. And it really wasn't... There were some dominating plays by TJ. I think I remember texting you that during the game. There were some positives there. Record. Yeah, on a regular basis. And there's a lot of there's some positives to be said there, but losing Joe Hayden, losing a shutdown corner like him, he's been playing another lights out year. You just keep thinking, how many more lights out years does he have left in him? And like I said, he's not dominant, but he's a good one-on-one shutdown corner. No, he's not. He's not the weak spot in that secondary by any means, and it's gonna hurt.
It will. I mean, Sutton played really good, I think. My bigger problem is, so the Steelers' problem for the last 10 years has been running backs and tight ends. You know what beat us on Sunday?
Tell me.
Running backs and tight ends. How the hell have we not learned how to stop a running back or a tight end? Second off, why is Vinny Williams the whole damn second half when he showed he can't cover J.D. McKissick, covering J.D. McKissick the whole time? Like, I don't care if you love Vince Williams for his run stopping. Bench his ass, because they're not running it down our throat. They're throwing screens down our throat. Bench his ass for Marcus Allen if he can't cover J.D. McKissick out of the backfield, and that's what you're asking him to do. And/or don't ask him to do it.
That comes back on the coaching.
It does. And I'm going to be honest with you, the defense, I understand what happened. Injuries happened. We started playing woefully, a little scared, and guys just didn't step up the way they have before. That's okay. The defense is allowed to have an off day. You know what? They've been so good and they've carried us for so long. I think they're allowed to have an off day. But when they have an off day, someone on the offense needs to do something. Like, Benny Snell, here's your chance to prove you deserve to be a back in the NFL. What do? 8 carries for 4 yards? Was it 8 carries for 4 yards? Are you serious?
Not. It didn't come through. It was bad. There was no push. That offense is so extremely underwhelming right now.
And then, I don't mean this to sound bad, but Ben, you're now playing the West Coast offense. You're playing another person. You want to prove you're the comeback player of the year. You want to prove you're an MVP talent that people in the Steelers area have told me. I've never believed it. I think Ben's a great quarterback. I never believed he's been an MVP talent quarterback. You just got outplayed by Alex Smith. To be fair, we're now playing the Alex Smith offense, and I said we should trade for Alex Smith if we want to play the Alex Smith offense, and I still believe that. I still believe we shouldn't be playing this offense. Ben got at Alex Smith by none other than Alex Smith, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Ben was bad, but Alex Smith was a better quarterback yesterday. Or not yesterday. Tuesday.
The Steelers didn't execute. There were times when Ben was inaccurate. There were times when he was accurate and the receivers weren't catching it. It didn't add up. 2 + 2 did not equal 4 on Tuesday evening. I still think that some of this has to do with the donkey, this scheduling, this routine. You know, these are highly tuned athletes, man, and they are used to playing on Sunday, resting on Monday, doing practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe some on Thursday, having a walkthrough on Friday, and that's the whole thing, man. That's the deal.
I agree.
And I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you throw them off the schedule the way the Steelers have been thrown around the last couple weeks, I think it shows. I think it shows in their level of preparation.
It does, but really these are problems we've been seeing, or at least I've been seeing all year, that just really all showed up at once and manifested at once, and that was a perfect storm of bad things. But on your note, I think it was Greg McElroy on First Take said about the same thing. He said there had never been such a disparity, or maybe it was someone else, but it was like Washington had 11 days off before the game, and the Steelers had 5. There had never been like that kind of disparity in terms of such short time to like under 7 days to over 10 type of deal. And I was like, it's crazy. It's true, but
and
it's
don't
like,
mistake me.
What?
Don't mistake me. It's still not an excuse that the Steelers did not have to lose that game. There was some poor execution on both sides of the ball at times, but I am saying that it's an understanding of maybe why things are the way they are a little bit.
Hey, all I'm going to say is we're 12 games in the season now, so it's not a small sample size, so I'm not giving Ben the benefit of, well, Ben's just waiting to get back into it type of deal. I'd like to ask you something. Is this the season that if we win the Super Bowl, it's Denver's Peyton Manning season? And I'm not saying Ben's playing as bad as Peyton Manning did that year. By no means is Ben playing that bad. And Scorch, please go away because you're terribly loud and that's going to be terrible for the stream, so go away. But is this our Peyton Manning season where if we win, it's because that defense or that offense doesn't lose it for us? At least with Denver, they played complimentary football that year and ran the ball to at least, kill the clock. Which, by the way, we're really good in time of possession this year, which confuses the hell out of me, but it's because our defense is so good and gives us the ball all the time. But is this our Peyton Manning season with Ben?
I don't think we're there yet. I think we've seen shades of that. I think there... Could it be? It could be, but I've also seen games where Ben has exceeded that point. But I've seen him play to that level as well. You're not out of the question. It's not an absurd thing to propose. But do I think that's how it's going to end up? No, I don't.
All right. And then I have question 2, because this is what me and my wife were talking about, because she was being a little too down. She's like, well, bad things are happening. She's like, this, that. And I'm like, but Abby, what if vintage Ben Roethlisberger shows up? What if 500-yard, 5-touchdown Ben Roethlisberger, who, by the way, we have not seen this year? What if he shows up in the playoffs? What if that Ben Roethlisberger is still in there, Gingy?
Yeah.
I mean, you know me as the guy who's always trying to point out the flaws with this team because I like to be a realist. I like to keep my expectations lower because then the losses don't hit you as hard. And I don't say things that I don't think are true. But, and I'm still sitting here, what if the Big Ben we knew was still there? Like, we haven't seen it. His deep passing accuracy isn't there. And much like Russell Wilson, when the running game's there, Ben's a better quarterback because he plays so well off of, like, the running game. He plays so well off of play-action passes. When you're the guy, it's a little different. Russ is finding that out the last 2 years in Seattle, probably the last 3. Ben's finding it out now when he's throwing the ball so much.
51 times.
Though,
51
find vintage
times,
Ben.
Yeah, okay, and it has to. You called it out, right? As I would say it. I think that's where it has to be. Pouncey and Connor coming off the COVID list need to be strong in that area. Line needs to generate some push. There's nothing there in the run game. There's nothing about that team that you are scared of. Nothing. If your defense trying to prepare for them, what are you going to do? Shut down the run? We don't need to. Shut down the pass completely? Well, if Deontay drops another 5, it doesn't matter.
Deontay Johnson doesn't even get on the field outside of 4 receiver sets for me this week. You have to make a message that that's unacceptable. And to be honest, our best receiver the last 2 weeks, and honestly a guy I loved coming out of Oklahoma State and still like James Washington, needs to be on the field more. You need James 100%. Washington and Chase Claypool on the field because they are the 2 best receivers this team has to make vertical threat plays. And I understand we want to be the dink and dunk Steelers, so we want Deontay Johnson, we want Juju, we want the 2-yard guys. Have you seen what this offense has done with the frickin' 2-yard guys? It's clear that shit ain't going to win the Super Bowl.
It's not sustained.
So let's put the vertical threats in there. Let's go vintage Steeler football. Let's start running the ball. Let's do play action and let it fly, Ben. Show me the Ben I want to see is still there. Show me the Ben I believe can make a miracle run is still there. Show me my 500-yard, 5-touchdown, greatest ever non-elite quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, is there. I know I just pissed a lot of people off in Steeler Nation, but come on, Ben was never an elite quarterback. He is arguably the greatest non-elite quarterback in the history of football.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that road. What I am going to say is, Donkey, imagine this in the Twilight Zone, okay? Imagine if this offense was just a big a big sham. In the first playoff game, they come out and they let Ben let it fly. See, that is the nightmare that I hope that I wake up from.
Remember your
Let's
whole
make
these
it
guys are
happen.
finally tuned machines. These guys are.
I know.
You-
I'm talking about
you-
dreams here. Dreams
I'm
here
with you.
that would make it look-
I hope this game showed them they need to do what you just said, and I am with you.
Yes.
I've been feeling that the whole time. I'm like, this really isn't the Steelers, is it? And by the way, if you want to see why I think this is dumb, so quarterbacks are really good in a system that they know well, right? Like, look at Tom Brady. He's struggling a little bit in Tampa because it's a new system, and they're not using Brady the way he's used to. Look at Ben. He's struggling in a system because it's new, and it's not what he's used to.
Okay, so I prefaced you before with the Twilight Zone. Now try this on for realism, possibly. Okay, what we're looking at is I think that we're not going to go back to 500-yard, 5-touchdown Ben. But what I think you are going to see, Donkey, is I think when the game's on the line and it's playoff time, I think you're going to see a couple of moments where Ben is going to allow himself to get hit in the ribs by a huge linebacker, and you're going to see one drop to J-Dub. And you're going to realize that he still can, but the plays that he runs now is to protect himself for the long run.
That's what I'm hoping. Dude, I am seriously hoping for that.
That is a
because
more
I have-
realistic story than the one I just proposed to you, but that is what I hope and think
I
is going
have
to happen.
I have been hoping for that, but at the same time, I just don't see it because one, James Washington would have to be on the field. Two, you'd actually have to try to run a deep route, which I don't know if you're allowed to do that in the Steelers' offense anymore. But I don't know, dude. Dink and Dunk Ben is driving me bananas because that Washington game should have been put so far out of range it isn't even funny. But more importantly, can we stop the pulling guard bullshit? Like, that works when you could generate push. Like, that worked when Ramon Foster was moving his guy 3 yards off the line so DeCastro could block a dude 3 yards up the field. You know when that doesn't work? When DeCastro's blocking a dude a yard in the backfield, and then Benny Snell is getting hit by DeCastro's fat ass because Matt Feeler pushes about as hard as I am.
Yeah. Feel
Like,
is not. I was gonna say Feeler's the one back there.
There's
Yeah, I know.
zero push. There are zero fucking man moments from this offensive line this year. You can't name me one moment where this offensive line just man mode someone. You know the only highlight I have from this offensive line is Pouncey literally getting pushed back so hard he did a backflip because some big fatty ran him over. Okay? Where
Yeah.
are your prototypical Pittsburgh Steeler linemen? Like, where are your AFC North cold weather linemen? Like, are they all in Baltimore and Cleveland right now? Did the Cleveland Browns steal our manhood? Because I am very upset that this team, for 6 straight plays, could not get 1 yard. 6 straight plays, bro.
I saw it. I was not happy. I opened with that about how disappointing that was.
Also, dear Benny Snell football, you should not be a short yardage running back. You're too ditzy dootsy.
Just needs the push. I think he's there for the short yard running back. I've seen it before. I've seen it before from him, not right now.
He is one of the worst conversion rates on 1 yardage plays in the last 2 years in the NFL. That's
If that's how it is, then Donkey. If that's how it is.
he's something
All
at
right,
like
so
30% on 1 yard to go plays converting.
The monkey is
Bro.
off the back. The 11-1. We're rocking that 11-1, and we're looking at Buffalo next week,
Yes.
Donkey.
Yes, and we talked about this earlier. If I was basing quarterback rankings just off of this season of game film, Josh Allen's my number 3 or 4 quarterback in the league. That kid is playing lights out.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be some pressure on defense. Hopefully TJ is gonna be getting in there, disrupting that a little bit, throwing that timing off on that offense.
Can we see
This
something
week
from
for
Alex
me-
Highsmith a little bit?
Highsmith on the other side. I'd love to be able to see that too. I mean, he. Tell me about what you thought about him last week.
The efforts there. He has the athleticism to play.
He's not Bud.
He's not. No, dude. First off, no one on that defense is Bud. Bud is the best athlete on that defense.
Yeah.
Bud Dupree is that dude is something. But Highsmith's there. He's one of those guys who, in 2 years, I'll tell you what I think of him, because he's a guy who needs the time to learn how to get the moves. Like, I've seen him generate off the line. I was watching last week, really close on him. He generates quick, has a quick first step, is there, and then just gets stopped because he just doesn't have the move to get around the offensive lineman yet. Because he played, let's be honest here, he played non-Power 5 college football. Dude, the offensive linemen he was going against were, let's be honest, trash. The athleticism, the needed NFL skills are there. The moves aren't. The physical tools are there. In 2 years, I'll tell you, if he develops the moves in 2 years, it could be good.
Yeah, so just some time to develop. But just
right
not right now.
Right now, he is not a starter caliber on a defense this level.
Well,
If I'm gonna be honest,
and technically he wasn't. He's not, but
No,
he's gonna
and he
have to
shouldn't have
do.
had to be, but stuff happens. By the way,
Yes.
low key, I like the pickup of Cassius Marsh. Always a guy who has a little something there, high motor guy. I really like that pickup.
Steeler guy. I hope he fits right in.
But that Buffalo team, I tell you what, looking like that move to get Stephon Diggs, smart.
Yeah, it
Diggs
definitely
has really
changed
been
that
missed
team.
in Minnesota's offense and has really added something there, especially when you consider, I think it's John Brown has been out for most of the year, so they lost what would have been their other deep threat. Something about adding in talent, man. That's the way to do it. Go balls out, add some talent, have that young quarterback surrounded, and I'm so happy for Josh Allen, because when I saw him coming out of college, I'm like, this dude's inaccurate. He's not going to show it. In his first couple of years in the NFL, he showed exactly what he showed in college. Flashes of brilliance, but just super the consistency wasn't there. And this year, man, I'm impressed with Josh Allen. I will admit, I think I was 100% wrong on him. And
He's
let's
really
hope we can
developed
show him
into
something,
something.
though. He's still
Yeah,
a young
really developed
quarterback.
into
We're still
something.
the Pittsburgh Steelers. We still do really good against young quarterbacks.
Gingy stuff to look out for this week. Looking at James Conner and Marquise Pouncey back in the lineup. Really hoping to see that Steelers run game. We're gonna need it, donkey. I'm gonna be tuned in for prime time Sunday Night Football. Here we go with Chris Collinsworth again. This ought to be great.
Yeah, I love Collinsworth. TV's gonna be on mute the whole time. I'll be listening to the Steelers radio in the background, which will be like 20 seconds behind, but I don't care, because 20 seconds behind is still better than Chris Collinsworth. But
Once a bungle, always a bungle.
that dude, yeah, he's something else. I'll tell you what.
Once a bungle, always a bungle. I
Yeah.
feel his orange stripes, orange and black, coming through.
But that Buffalo defense is one that can be had. This is a week the Steelers need to show that offense to me, because I've been lenient for 12 weeks because it hadn't cost us yet. But that offense has not gone forward. It's actually gotten worse. And I am beyond pissed. Like, if you can't convert 1-yard situations, you don't deserve to be given the chance to go for it at this point. If we would have kicked a field goal, it's a different game. And at this point, Mike Tomlin, I understand you want this aggressive attitude. You want this team to think, hey, you know what? We're going to go for it because we're a winning team. You know what? We're a losing team because we went for it. And I don't mean that like we're a losing team. I mean, we lost because we went for it. If we kicked the field goals there, that game's different. And at this point, it's long enough into the season. This team has proved it enough. Until they actually start converting 3rd and 1s, you don't give them a chance on 4th and 1.
Not anymore. They're gonna have to prove it now. I'm ready.
This is a game to show kind of where we are, because this is a team we could very well face in the playoffs. And I'm going to be honest with you, if we lose this week and Kansas City wins and controls their own destiny, I rest our starters for the whole game next week and half the game the week after. because I want them rested for the Cleveland game, which is the only game that remains on our schedule that matters. Because if Kansas City gets the 1 seed, the 2 seed doesn't get a bye. I'd like to be rested in the playoffs and make sure we have that Cleveland game week 17 ready to go.
We have that discussion next week. I'm not ready to have
No,
that
we don't.
talk
We don't
yet.
have a discussion next week because we win this week, and then that discussion isn't happening. So I had to bring it
There
up
you
now
go.
because it's not going to
Much
happen.
better.
I just
better.
wanted my opinion out there because it's not going to happen. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew how I felt about if things go the wrong way, which hopefully they won't. What the Steelers should do, in my opinion, because, well, that's what I'm here to talk about is my opinion of the Steelers and how I'm pissed right now because everything I've been saying came to truth, and this offense needs to step the hell up because if we waste another year of a Super Bowl caliber
Breathe.
defense, I'm going to be
Breathe.
pissed.
Breathe.
I'm
Donkey,
gonna
you know
be
what?
pissed.
I hear you. And there's a
We
lot of
wasted-
things that upset me about last week too. But you know what? This talk was very cathartic today. I talked a few weeks ago about, even the top teams in the NFC have all laid stinkers. And you know what? The Steelers laid a stinker. Everything's gonna be better next week. Breathe, and it's gonna be
I agree
okay.
with you, but all those teams also showed both sides of the ball what their elite play could look like. Like, I don't know if the Steelers have done that. Maybe you could say the Cleveland game, our offense was there, but I think wasn't turnovers a bigger part of our offense even than that game?
Yeah, something which we lacked
I mean,
versus the Redskins.
if you look at the Steelers offense and you take away games where we're turnover assisted, like, I think we're under 20 points a game. That's and there hasn't been a 40-point game in there. Outside of causing turnovers and scoring off turnovers, this offense has just been the better part of bleh for 12 weeks.
I'm just hoping, Donkey. I know. What you see is there. What I'm hoping is that veteran unit is able to come together and show and play to the level that they're capable of rather than continuing to play to the level of their opponent on a consistent basis.
I hope you're right. I would love to see it. I told you before, what if that Ben's still there? What if that Ben shows up in the playoffs? I mean, everyone likes to hate on the Steelers, and I hate how the national media is trying to make it sound like we're really not even a legit contender anymore. Although there are some people standing up for us. But the thing they seem to forget is, and I know it hasn't showed itself this year, but is we have the best defense in the NFL when it comes to the most important things, sacks and turnovers. That's what shows up in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, losing Bud's huge, and if we get any more injuries or any of these other injuries turn out to be serious, that's huge. But what if that defense keeps playing and Ben shows up? Like, they don't talk about that. It's like they've gone on and said there's no way Ben shows as Ben again. But what if, right? Like, why can't Ben be Ben?
I've heard some talk in the national media, like you said, about the worst 11-1 team. You know what? At the end of the day, I'd rather be the worst 11-1 than the best 6-5 or the best 7-5 team out there. So I'm ready to see it next week, Donkey. My shout-outs, man. I'm going to throw out a shout-out this week. TJ Watt. I like to see his brother online, advocating for him to be DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's well on his way.
Yeah, he's having a great season. That's a good one. If I had to give a shout-out, you know what? It's just the Steeler Nation, because I know everyone's a little down. I'm not actually down, because I was like, if you're going to lose a game, lose this game. And I was scared of it because we were running the Alex Smith offense against Alex Smith, and that just always seemed like a bad thing to me. And it turned out to be. But Steeler Nation, we've never gone 11-0, dude. Enjoy it. I mean, we're 11-1 now, but enjoy what just happened. Enjoy history when it happened. Enjoy being as great as we are. Enjoy the fact that we still control our own damn destiny to the 1 seed. Like, don't let that go past you. We still control our destiny. Everyone's talking about the Vikings, or the Chiefs, excuse me. Which, by the way, how the Chiefs are below us in the rankings and clinched a playoff berth when we didn't confuses me. Like, I understand it. It's because of our because we had to play Indy and Buffalo, which those losses would guarantee them one, or our losses would guarantee them one. But it's just weird that they clinched before we clinched. That's crazy to me. And, Gingy, I'm very disappointed in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah, you kind of dodged my two very vocal points about how our offense is poorly performing in scores to punts, and how Ben's the greatest non-elite quarterback ever. Like you dodged me. You dodged
I
me.
intentionally dodged.
Bro.
I intentionally and
Bro,
openly dodged.
It's about content. It's
voting
about
you
freaking content, and you dodged me.
Ben Roethlisberger has 2 Super Bowl more rings than you do.
He does.
2 more than you do.
Dude, I'm not a football.
And he's
I'm
been
not
there
a
3
good
times.
football player. Listen to my
Tell me-
wording here.
okay,
He is a
tell me-
Hall of
tell me what his
Famer,
winning
and he
percentage
is a great quarterback.
Tell
he
me what
is
his
a
winning
Hall of
percentage is,
Famer
Donkey.
and a great quarterback. What'd you say?
Tell me about a quarterback that went 15-1. Tell me about him. His name is. We don't want to talk about him. Jesus Christ! No, get him off of here, Donkey. No. Say you turn to the dark side. That's evil.
You
can't
weren't ready
force
for
me.
that one, were
No,
you?
you can't force me into a conversation about Tom Brady. Get out of here.
Okay, can I explain this to you though? So I really wanted to get in this conversation because I think it's a good one. The reason I say that is I can't name a single season where I would say Ben was one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the league for that specific season. He has a longevity of being a great and consistent quarterback, but he just doesn't have that year where you're like, yep, he was the best. Like that to me is just why he's the greatest non-elite
This is a
quarterback.
fundamental difference in the way that we assess quarterbacks, Donkey, because I assess
That's fair.
football as a team game. And as a team, and as a part of a winning team, he is a lot better than quarterbacks that might have a better arm, or more throwing yards, or more touchdown
Tom Brady.
passes.
Tom Brady.
Okay, Tom Brady beats everybody, not just Ben Roethlisberger. Tom Brady, but I'm talking about, we're talking about. Yeah,
Drew
show me
Brees?
somebody comparable.
Can we talk just so is he better
There
than
you
Drew
go.
Brees?
Drew
Because he has
Brees.
an
Exactly.
extra ring?
Because you will. Yes, that is what I would say, and that's how
Alright,
I assess
that's
quarterbacks
fair.
as part of a team football.
That's fair.
I think that he is I think that he has better mechanics or a better arm than Drew Brees? No, it doesn't
Always
matter.
better arm.
Though.
Definitely has a better arm.
Well, a more accurate passing.
I couldn't outthrow Drew Brees personally, but there's plenty of guys.
I'm not talking about the deep ball. I'm not talking about the deep ball. I'm talking about the accuracy. And that's what
Brees is a
Drew
great
has.
one. So then is he on par or is he above Eli Manning?
He'd have to be on par.
All right, so
He has to be on-
this is an off-season conversation we have to have because this will take us into like a 3-hour debate, and I think that'd be great content for the off-season. But I'd love to give those 2
We should do
shout-outs.
that.
Everyone who's still not
Donkey.
losing their mind as a Steelers fan right now and still sees the goodness, and anyone who's still stuck in realism like me, like I still see really good, I still see a Super Bowl potential, but I still see the flaws. Anyone who's out there who's not being a homer right now, my shout-outs to you because homers.
Homer, right
Y'all
here. Homer
Yinzers can
Gingy.
go shove your icy light up your ass, because
Homer Gingy.
I'm
I'll take an
right
extra icy light over here. Thank you.
I'll make sure it's nice, warm, and lubed up for you.
Get one for me from the fridge. I need an extra thirsty.
Hey, and dear Steelers fans, hey, thank God we don't have an overpaid Carson Wentz as our leader, huh?
Oof. Oh, looking so hot now.
Where you at, Philly? Where's your underdog hats now? Is it with Nick Foles on Chicago's bench?
Everyone buy your Jalen Hurts jerseys.
Yeah, because it hurts to be a Philly fan. At least you can wear it on your back.
Badoom psh.
Let's
Love
go.
Love it.
All right, on to Buffalo. Let's get win 12. Let's control our destiny. Let's make this all just a blurb in the Steelers season run that's going to be fun, fun, fun.
Let's go. Wave them if you got them for 12-1 out there, Steelers Nation. Primetime game. I'll be tuned in. Grab your snacks. Grab your icy light. Let's go.
Feel free to hit us up on any of the socials. Meet us here, same bad time, same bad place. We'll be posting it all over. We'd love to get some comments because we'd love to have some more fun stuff to talk about. As you can see, we're not against going into anything during any given week. If we have prep time, we'll make that our weekly discussion. That is all the Viking Donkeys got. And what's the Mutant Gingy going to end us on?
Hey, I'll tell you what, Donkey. Let's say that the Steelers get that bye week. We're making that content.
Let's go, baby. Bye week content.
Let's go. Wave 'em if you
12-1,
got 'em.
baby.
12-1. Wave him if you got him.